Black boy gives his sandwich to a white homeless man. The next day, police knock on his door. The sun peeked through the thin curtains of Jamal Thompson's small bedroom, casting golden rays on the walls adorned with posters of superheroes and basketball players. It was a typical morning in Atlanta, the sounds of the bustling neighborhood filtering through the window, the distant laughter of children, the rhythm of car horns, and the sizzle of breakfast from nearby food stalls. Jamal rubbed his eyes, stretching his arms wide, ready to embrace the day. He hopped out of bed, his worn-out baseball cap lying on the floor like an old friend waiting to be picked up. Jamal donned his cap, combing his curly hair with his fingers, and made his way to the tiny kitchen where his mother, Maria, was already busy preparing breakfast. The smell of toast wafted through the air, mingling with the faint aroma of spices from last night's dinner. "Good morning, Mama," Jamal chirped, his voice bright and cheerful. "Good morning, my sunshine," Maria replied, her face lighting up with a smile that always made Jamal feel special. She turned back to the stove, flipping a pancake with a practiced hand. "How did you sleep?" "Like a rock. I had the best dream about being a teacher and helping kids learn," he said, excitement bubbling in his chest. Jamal had always dreamed of becoming a teacher, inspired by the way his favorite instructors made learning fun and engaging. "That's wonderful, baby. I'm sure you'll make a great teacher one day," Maria encouraged, pouring syrup over the pancakes, her eyes glimmering with pride. "Now, eat up. You don't want to be late for school." Jamal sat down at their small kitchen table, where two mismatched chairs stood. As he devoured his breakfast, he thought about the day ahead. It was just another Tuesday, but for Jamal, every day held the possibility of something extraordinary. He finished his pancakes quickly, knowing he had to pack his lunch, a simple peanut butter and jelly sandwich, before heading out. After finishing his meal, he grabbed the sandwich from the counter and placed it carefully in a brown paper bag. The old bag had seen better days, but it was sturdy enough for his journey to school. He slung his backpack over his shoulder, adjusted his cap, and waved goodbye to Maria, who was now busy organizing her things for her 2 jobs that day. "Have a great day, Jamal. Remember, kindness is your superpower," she called out as he dashed out the door. "Love you, Mama," he shouted back, feeling a rush of love for her determination and hard work. He walked down the street, the sun warming his face, and the familiar sights of his neighborhood greeted him. As he neared the bus stop, Jamal spotted Mr. Henry Collins sitting on the sidewalk, his back against the wall of an old building. Mr. Collins was a fixture in the neighborhood, often seen with his scruffy beard and weathered clothes, his eyes reflecting the burdens he carried. Despite his circumstances, there was a gentleness in Mr. Collins's gaze that drew Jamal to him. "Good morning, Mr. Collins," Jamal called out, his heart swelling with warmth. He had seen Mr. Collins many times, but had never spoken to him much. Today, something compelled him to approach. "Morning, kid," Mr. Collins replied, his voice raspy but soft. He shifted slightly, revealing a tattered backpack beside him. "You off to school?" "Yep, I've got a big test today," Jamal said, feeling a mix of nervousness and excitement. He had studied hard, and his teacher had told him he could do great things if he believed in himself. "Don't forget to be brave," Mr. Collins said, nodding sagely. "The world needs brave hearts like yours." Jamal beamed at the compliment. He noticed Mr. Collins's eyes flicker to the paper bag in his hand. In that moment, an idea struck him. He had always believed in sharing and kindness, and this was a perfect opportunity. "Would you like a sandwich, Mr. Collins?" he asked, holding out the bag with both hands. Mr. Collins looked surprised, his eyes widening. "Oh, kid, I couldn't possibly take your lunch. You need that for school." "It's just a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. I'll be fine," Jamal insisted, his heart racing with the thrill of giving. "I want you to have it." After a moment of hesitation, Mr. Collins' face softened. "Well, if you insist," he said, accepting the bag with a shaking hand. "Thank you, Jamal. You're a good boy." Jamal felt a glow of happiness as he watched Mr. Collins unwrap the sandwich, the simple act bringing a smile to the man's face. "Enjoy it," he called out, his heart swelling with pride. With a final wave, he turned to head toward the bus stop, feeling lighter with each step. As he boarded the bus, Jamal couldn't stop thinking about the smile on Mr. Collins' face. It wasn't just about the sandwich. It was about connection and making someone's day a little brighter. He settled into his seat, his mind racing with thoughts of the test and the new wonders of the day. But as the bus rolled through the streets of Atlanta, something began to stir in the air. Little did Jamal know, the simple act of sharing his sandwich would set off a chain of events that would change his life forever. As the bus came to a stop at his school, Jamal stepped off, excitement bubbling in his chest. Today felt different. Little did he know, the day was just beginning, and the unexpected would soon come knocking at his door. The school day unfolded like a whirlwind for Jamal. His heart raced as he navigated through lessons, his mind sometimes drifting back to the moment he shared his sandwich with Mr. Collins. The kindness had given him a warm glow, but he couldn't shake the feeling of excitement about the test looming over him. As the final bell rang, Jamal packed his backpack, the sound of laughter and chatter filling the hallway around him. His classmates rushed past him, eager to leave the confines of the classroom. Jamal took a moment to gather his thoughts, still replaying the day's events in his mind. He felt accomplished after the test, but something nagged at him, the memory of Mr. Collins and the connection they had shared. "Hey, Jamal!" called out his friend Malik, waving him over. "You ready for the basketball game later? I heard we're going to crush them." "Yeah, I'm in," Jamal replied, trying to mask his distraction with excitement. The game was a big deal, a chance to show off their skills and bond with friends. But as he stepped out of the school, he couldn't help but think about Mr. Collins and wonder how he was doing. The sun hung low in the sky, casting a warm glow on the neighborhood as Jamal walked home. He could feel the energy of the evening settling in, the streets bustling with vendors selling snacks and families enjoying the cool breeze. Yet something felt different today, a sense of anticipation lingering in the air. As he approached their small apartment building, Jamal noticed a police car parked outside. His heart sank slightly. The sight of police always made him uneasy. Memories of stories his mother shared about the police and their sometimes harsh dealings with people in their neighborhood flashed through his mind. He hesitated for a moment, wondering if he should turn back. "Jamal," called a familiar voice. It was Officer David Ramirez, a man known for his friendly demeanor and commitment to the community. Jamal had seen him around but had never spoken to him directly. The officer waved him over, a gentle smile on his face. "Hey there, buddy. How was school today?" Officer Ramirez asked, kneeling down to meet Jamal's gaze. It was good," Jamal replied, his curiosity piqued. "But why are you here?" The officer's smile faltered slightly, replacing it with a more serious expression. "I need to talk to you and your mom for a moment. It's about Mr. Collins." Jamal's stomach twisted in knots. "Mr. Collins? Is he okay?" Officer Ramirez glanced back at the police car, then knelt closer to Jamal. "I need you to stay calm, all right? We just want to make sure everything is all right. Can you go inside and get your mom?" Jamal nodded, anxiety bubbling within him as he dashed up the stairs to their apartment. His mind raced with thoughts of Mr. Collins. What could have happened? Had something gone wrong after he gave him his sandwich? "Mom!" he called out, bursting through the door. Maria was in the living room, cleaning up after a long day. She looked up, concern etching her features. "Jamal, what's wrong?" "There are police outside. They want to talk to us about Mr. Collins." His voice trembled slightly, the weight of worry pressing down on him. Maria's expression shifted from surprise to apprehension. "Stay here, honey. I'll check it out," she said, her tone firm. She walked to the door, her brow furrowing as she opened it to find Officer Ramirez waiting patiently. "Good evening, Miss Thompson," he greeted, his voice steady and reassuring. "I'm sorry to intrude, but I need to speak with you and your son about Mr. Collins." "Is he all right?" Maria asked, her voice laced with concern. "Please, let's step outside," Officer Ramirez suggested, gesturing toward the stoop. Maria nodded, and Jamal followed closely behind her, his heart pounding in his chest. Once outside, Jamal could see two more officers standing by the car, their expressions serious but not unfriendly. He felt a wave of anxiety wash over him as he glanced at his mother, who looked troubled yet curious. "Mr. Collins was found this morning," Officer Ramirez began, his tone gentle. "He was experiencing some health issues, and he has been taken to the hospital." Jamal's breath caught in his throat. Is he going to be okay? Right now he's stable, Officer Ramirez reassured. But there's something else you both need to know, Mr. Collins has shared with us what happened yesterday. The sandwich you gave him. Jamal felt a rush of warmth and pride at the mention of his act of kindness, but confusion also washed over him. What do you mean? Mr. Collins is not just a homeless man, Officer Ramirez explained. He's actually a reclusive millionaire who over the years has chosen to live among those less fortunate. He wants to speak to you both about his intentions to help you, especially after your kindness. Maria's expression shifted from worry to astonishment. A millionaire, but why would he want to help us? Because your son's act of kindness touched him deeply, Officer Ramirez said. He believes in paying it forward and he wants to repay you in ways that could change your lives. Jamal's heart raced, a mix of excitement and disbelief swirling inside him. What does that mean? Can we come inside? Officer Ramirez asked, glancing at the other officers. We can discuss it in more detail. Maria exchanged a look with Jamal, who nodded eagerly. She stepped aside, allowing the officers to enter their modest home. As they gathered in the small living room, Jamal's mind raced with thoughts of what this could mean for their future. Mr. Collins wants to ensure you both are taken care of, Officer Ramirez continued, looking directly at Jamal. He's very grateful for your kindness and wants to help you and your mother in any way he can. Jamal's heart swelled with hope, but uncertainty lingered in the back of his mind. What could a millionaire possibly want with them? And how could they accept such generosity? As the officers explained Mr. Collins's plans, Jamal felt a flicker of doubt creeping in. Would accepting help from someone so wealthy change who they were? Would it alter the bond he shared with his mother, the values she had instilled in him? Jamal, Officer Ramirez said, noticing the contemplation on his face. This is an opportunity for a fresh start, but it's okay to feel unsure. Kindness, like what you showed Mr. Collins, can lead to incredible changes, even when they seem overwhelming. The words resonated with Jamal, grounding him as he considered the possibilities. Perhaps change wasn't something to fear, but rather something to embrace. As the officers continued their discussion, Jamal began to feel a sense of hope blossoming within him. The question now wasn't just about accepting help. It was about how they would navigate this new chapter together. And in the heart of Atlanta, where kindness had already begun to weave its magic, Jamal realized that the future was full of possibilities, if only they would dare to take the leap. As the officers settled into the modest living room, Jamal's heart raced with a mix of emotions, curiosity, hope, and a tinge of anxiety. His mother, Maria, sat across from Officer Ramirez, her brow furrowed in thought as she listened intently. Jamal perched on the edge of his chair, unable to contain his anticipation. Mr. Collins has been living a life quite different from what most people imagine, Officer Ramirez began, his voice steady. He was once a successful businessman, but years ago he decided to step back from that life. He wanted to understand what it was like for those who struggle daily, so he chose to live among them. Jamal's eyes widened. He had always sensed a depth in Mr. Collins' demeanor, a wisdom that seemed to go beyond his tattered clothes and weary face. It was as if he carried the weight of the world on his shoulders, yet still managed to share a smile. Mr. Collins has seen many people in your neighborhood show kindness, Officer Ramirez continued. When he encountered your selfless act of giving, it struck a chord deep within him. He believes that kindness can change lives, and he wants to ensure that you and your mother have the support you need. Maria's expression shifted from concern to intrigue. But why us? There are so many people who need help. Why would he choose to help us? Because your son's act was genuine, Officer Ramirez replied, meeting her gaze. It reminded him of the goodness that still exists in the world. He wants to pay it forward in a meaningful way. Jamal's heart swelled with pride as he recalled the moment he handed Mr. Collins his sandwich. It had been a simple gesture, but it felt monumental now, like the first ripple in a pond that spreads out to touch everything around it. Mr. Collins is currently in the hospital, Officer Ramirez explained. He would like to meet with you both as soon as he is able. In the meantime, he's arranged for some immediate support to help you with your needs. What kind of support? Maria asked, her voice tinged with disbelief. Financial assistance for rent, groceries and even some funds for Jamal's education, Officer Ramirez said, his tone calming. He believes in investing in the future, and he sees potential in you both. Jamal's mind began to race. Education had always been important to him, and the thought of having the resources to pursue his dreams sent a thrill through him. But he couldn't shake the nagging feeling in the back of his mind. "Will this change who we are?" Jamal blurted out, his voice small but resolute. "I don't want to be different. I just want to help people, like Mr. Collins." Maria looked at her son, her eyes filled with understanding. "Jamal, we've always been about helping others, no matter what we have or don't have. But sometimes there are opportunities that come our way, and we have to decide what to do with them." Officer Ramirez nodded in agreement. "Exactly. Accepting help doesn't mean you lose who you are. It means you're allowing others to show their gratitude for the kindness you've shared. It's okay to let people support you, just as you supported Mr. Collins." Jamal took a deep breath, contemplating the officer's words. He thought about the sacrifices his mother made every day, working tirelessly to provide for them. Maybe accepting help could be a way to honor that effort, to create a future where they could both give back even more. What if we could help others too?" Jamal asked, his eyes lighting up. "Like if Mr. Collins helps us, then we can help someone else. We could start a community program or something." Maria smiled at her son, pride swelling in her chest. "That's a beautiful idea, Jamal. You've always had a generous spirit. We can take this opportunity and turn it into something that can uplift others." "Exactly," Officer Ramirez exclaimed. "You both can be the catalyst for change in your community." Mr. Collins would love that idea. He believes in creating a ripple effect of kindness. The conversation shifted as they discussed the logistics of Mr. Collins' support and the potential for community outreach. Jamal felt a renewed sense of purpose, his earlier worries dissipating as the prospect of making a difference took root in his mind. After a while, the officers prepared to leave, but not before Officer Ramirez leaned closer to Jamal. "Remember, kid, kindness is a powerful thing. You don't have to change who you are to accept help. You can use that help to amplify your kindness." As the officers stepped out of their apartment, Jamal felt a surge of determination. He glanced at his mom, who looked thoughtful, her brow slightly furrowed. "What are you thinking, Mama?" he asked. "I'm just processing everything," she replied softly. "It's a lot to take in, but I see the fire in you, Jamal. If this is our chance to turn things around, we need to make the most of it." Jamal nodded, a sense of unity blossoming between them. "We will, Mama. We'll make Mr. Collins proud. We'll help others, just like he helped us." As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky with hues of orange and purple, Jamal felt a spark ignite within him. The world outside seemed vibrant and full of potential, and he was ready to embrace the changes ahead. With a renewed sense of purpose, he and Maria began to discuss their plans for the future, their hearts intertwined in a shared vision of kindness and community. That night, as Jamal lay in bed, he thought about Mr. Collins, his act of kindness and the unexpected journey that lay ahead. He realized that while change could be daunting, it also held the promise of hope and connection. With a determined heart, he closed his eyes, dreaming of the possibilities that awaited them. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, but he was ready to face them head-on. And in the heart of Atlanta, a ripple of kindness was about to create waves of change, one sandwich at a time. The next morning, sunlight streamed through Jamal's window, bathing his room in a warm glow. He awoke with a sense of anticipation buzzing inside him, memories of the previous day's revelations swirling in his mind. The promise of change hung in the air, both exhilarating and daunting. As he swung his legs over the side of the bed, he felt the weight of the world lift slightly. The burden of poverty was still there, but it felt lighter today. "Jamal, breakfast is ready," Maria called from the kitchen, her voice bright but tinged with an underlying tension. He could sense her anxiety about the unexpected news from the police. He quickly dressed and made his way to the kitchen, where he found his mother stirring a pot of oatmeal, her brow creased with thought. "Good morning, Mama," Jamal said, attempting to infuse some cheer into the atmosphere. He sat at the table, noticing the way Maria's fingers fidgeted with the wooden spoon. "Did you sleep well?" "Not really, honey," she admitted, turning to face him with a weary smile. "I kept thinking about everything that happened. It's a lot to process." Jamal nodded, his own thoughts racing. He felt a mix of excitement and apprehension about Mr. Collins's offer of help. "Do you think Mr. Collins will be okay?" he asked, unable to shake the worry from his mind. "I hope so," Maria replied, pouring the oatmeal into 2 bowls. "He has a good heart and I believe he'll pull through, but it's all so sudden and I'm not sure how I feel about accepting help from a millionaire." Jamal furrowed his brow, sensing the tension in her voice. "But Mama, he wants to help us because of my kindness. We can use this to make things better for us, and maybe help others too." His enthusiasm bubbled over, but the flicker of doubt in his mother's eyes dimmed his excitement. "I know, sweetheart," she said softly, sitting down across from him. "But it's hard for me to accept help. I've always worked hard for what we have, and it feels strange to think about someone giving us so much. What if it changes us?" Jamal considered her words. He understood her struggle. He had seen her work tirelessly to provide for them, often sacrificing her own needs for his. "But accepting help doesn't mean we're giving up, Mama. It just means we're letting someone help us so we can be stronger together. And we can make a difference for other people too." Maria looked at him, her expression softening. "You're right, Jamal. You have such a good heart. I just need time to come to terms with it. I want to make sure we stay true to ourselves, no matter what happens next." As they finished breakfast, Jamal's mind buzzed with possibilities. What if they could start a community program? He envisioned kids from the neighborhood gathering to play sports, learn and support one another. The thought excited him, and he couldn't wait to share it with his mother. After breakfast, Maria gathered her things for work, and Jamal prepared for school. As he walked to the bus stop, he spotted Officer Ramirez parked nearby, his friendly face breaking through the unease that had settled in Jamal's chest. "Hey, buddy, how are you feeling today?" Officer Ramirez greeted him with a warm smile as Jamal approached. "I'm okay, I guess, just trying to wrap my head around everything," Jamal replied, feeling the weight of uncertainty again. "That's understandable. Change can be tough," Officer Ramirez said, leaning against his car. "But it can also bring new opportunities. Have you thought more about what Mr. Collins has offered?" Jamal nodded, his heart racing. "Yeah, I really want to help others too. I was thinking maybe we could start a community program where kids can learn and play together. Like a safe space for everyone." His enthusiasm spilled out, and Officer Ramirez listened intently. "That's a fantastic idea, Jamal. Mr. Collins would love to hear that. He's all about creating positive change," the officer encouraged, his eyes sparkling with excitement. "You have the heart of a leader, never forget that." Jamal beamed at the praise. "Thanks, Officer Ramirez. I just want to make a difference. I want to help my friends and the neighborhood." "Keep that spirit alive, kiddo. You never know how far your kindness can reach," Officer Ramirez said, giving Jamal a reassuring pat on the shoulder. "Remember, you're not alone in this. Your mother and Mr. Collins are here to support you." As the bus arrived, Jamal hopped on, feeling a renewed sense of determination. He spent the ride daydreaming about the community program, picturing laughter and joy filling the air as kids learned and played together. However, a nagging feeling crept back into his mind. What if Mr. Collins didn't want his help? What if Maria still couldn't accept the millionaire's generosity? The day at school passed in a blur. Jamal distracted himself with classes and friends, but his thoughts kept drifting back to the changes ahead. He felt like he was on the brink of something big, yet he couldn't shake the feeling that there were hurdles to overcome. When the final bell rang, Jamal joined his friends outside, but his mind was elsewhere. He spotted Malik waiting for him, his usual bright smile replaced with a curious expression. "Hey man, you look deep in thought." "What's up?" Malik asked, nudging Jamal playfully. "I'm just thinking about Mr. Collins and the police visit yesterday," Jamal confessed. "I want to start a community program, but what if they don't want my help?" "Dude, that's a cool idea. Everyone will love it," Malik said, his enthusiasm infectious. "But what do you mean, what if they don't want your help? You're being too hard on yourself." "I guess I'm just scared," Jamal admitted, his voice dropping. "What if accepting help changes us? What if we lose who we are?" Malik shook his head vigorously. "Nah, Helping people doesn't change who you are. It makes you better. Look at how you helped Mr. Collins. If anything, it just shows how awesome you are." Jamal felt a flicker of hope in Malik's words, but doubt still lingered. "I just want to make sure we stay true to ourselves," he replied quietly. "Trust me, man, you're a good person. You can do this," Malik encouraged. "We'll help out too. Everyone deserves a chance to shine." As they made their way home, Jamal felt the weight of uncertainty lift slightly. Maybe accepting help was just the first step in a larger journey. He thought of his mother's worries and resolved to talk to her later about their plans. If they worked together, they could navigate the changes ahead. When he arrived home, Maria was already there, her tired eyes lighting up at the sight of him. "How was school, sweetheart?" she asked, her voice warm despite the fatigue etched on her face. "It was good. I have an idea I want to share with you," Jamal said, feeling a spark of hope igniting within him. "Can we talk?" Maria nodded, and they settled at the kitchen table. Jamal took a deep breath, ready to convey his vision for the community program and how they could use Mr. Collins's support to uplift others. As he spoke, he saw the flicker of understanding in Maria's eyes, a glimmer of hope that perhaps they could embrace this change together. With each word, he felt their bond strengthen, two hearts united in purpose. The journey ahead might be uncertain, but they would face it together, ready to embrace the kindness that had already begun to transform their lives. And in that moment, amidst the warmth of their small kitchen, Jamal realized that the power of kindness was not just in giving. It was also in accepting, sharing, and creating a legacy of hope for others. The ripple had just begun, and he was ready to ride the wave of change. Jamal sat at the kitchen table, a vibrant mix of anxiety and excitement swirling within him. The sun had set, casting a warm glow through the small window as he prepared to share his idea with his mother. He took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the moment. Maria looked at him, her expression open and curious, ready to listen. "Okay, so I've been thinking about how we can use Mr. Collins's help," Jamal began, his voice steadying as he spoke. "What if we start a community program, a safe space for kids in the neighborhood to play, learn, and help each other?" Maria's eyes widened, a spark of interest igniting in her expression. "A community program? That sounds wonderful, Jamal, but what exactly do you have in mind?" Jamal leaned forward, his enthusiasm bubbling over. "We could organize activities like sports, tutoring, and arts and crafts. We could invite kids from all around the neighborhood, no matter where they come from. It could be a place where everyone feels welcome." Maria's heart swelled with pride at her son's passion. "That's a beautiful idea. But how do we even start something like that?" "Mr. Collins wants to meet with us once he's feeling better," Jamal explained, his voice filled with hope. "He can help us figure out the details and connect us with resources. Maybe he knows people who can help us get supplies or a space to hold the program." Maria nodded, her mind racing with possibilities. "That would be a great way to honor Mr. Collins' kindness and your generosity. I can see how passionate you are about this, Jamal. But are you sure you're ready for this kind of responsibility?" "I think so, Mama. I want to help others like I helped Mr. Collins. And if we can create something that brings joy and support to our community, I know it'll make a difference," Jamal replied, his conviction shining through. "All right then," Maria said, her tone shifting to one of determination. "Let's make a plan. We'll prepare for when Mr. Collins is ready to meet with us. We can start brainstorming ideas for activities and how to spread the word to other families." As they began discussing the logistics, Jamal felt a sense of purpose wash over him. The kitchen, filled with the scent of dinner and the warmth of their bond, became a sanctuary of inspiration. They spent the next hour sketching out ideas, jotting down potential activities and resources they might need. With each suggestion, Jamal could feel the vision of their community program growing clearer. "Maybe we could even have a community garden," Jamal exclaimed, his eyes lighting up. "It could be a place where kids learn about growing food, and we can all work together to take care of it." "A garden sounds like a fantastic idea. It teaches responsibility and brings people together," Maria agreed, her voice brimming with excitement. "We'll need to find a suitable spot for that, perhaps a vacant lot nearby." As they continued brainstorming, Jamal realized that this wasn't just an idea, it was a mission, a chance to bring people together, to create a network of support and kindness that could ripple through their neighborhood. For the first time in a long while, he felt that they were on the brink of something extraordinary. Later that evening, after they had cleaned up the kitchen, Maria sat down with Jamal to discuss their next steps. "We need to think about how we'll approach Mr. Collins. I want to make sure we express our gratitude properly and show him that we appreciate his willingness to help," she said thoughtfully. "Right, we can write him a thank you card. I can draw something for him. Maybe a picture of the community we're envisioning," Jamal suggested eagerly. "That's a wonderful idea, sweetheart," Maria replied, her heart swelling with pride. "It'll show him how much his kindness means to us and how we intend to pay it forward." As they prepared for bed that night, Jamal's mind raced with possibilities. He envisioned the children laughing and playing, the vibrant colors of a community garden, and the warmth of a shared meal among families. He could already see it all coming to life, and the thought filled him with hope. The next morning, Jamal woke up with a renewed sense of purpose. The sun shone brightly through his window, illuminating the room with a golden glow. He quickly dressed and headed to the kitchen, where Maria was already making breakfast. "Good morning, Mama," Jamal chirped, his energy infectious. "Good morning, sunshine. You seem extra chipper today," she said, smiling as she flipped pancakes. "I am. I can't wait to start planning our community program. I want to get everything ready for when Mr. Collins is well enough to meet with us," Jamal declared, his voice bubbling with excitement. "Let's make today productive then," Maria replied, her smile broadening. "After we eat, we can head to the library and research how to start a community program. There might be resources and guides that can help us." "Great idea," Jamal agreed, his heart racing with anticipation. "We can also look up local organizations that might want to partner with us." After breakfast, they set off to the library. The familiar scent of books enveloped them as they walked through the doors, and Jamal felt a rush of inspiration. He and Maria spent hours poring over books and articles, jotting down notes and ideas for their community program. They found templates for organizing events, tips for fundraising, and even stories of other successful community initiatives. As they were about to leave, Maria noticed a flyer pinned to the bulletin board. "Jamal, look at this," she exclaimed, pointing to a colorful poster advertising a local community fair happening next weekend. "This could be a great opportunity for us to introduce our program to the neighborhood." Jamal's eyes lit up. "Yes, we can set up a booth and share our ideas with everyone. We could even do some activities right there at the fair to get people involved." "Let's do it. We need to prepare some materials to showcase our vision and invite families to join us," Maria said, her enthusiasm mirroring Jamal's. As they walked home, Jamal felt a rush of excitement coursing through him. The prospect of the community fair was a chance to connect with others, to spread the seeds of kindness and hope. He envisioned families gathering, children laughing, and the spirit of unity weaving through their neighborhood. That evening, they began preparing for the fair, crafting colorful posters and planning simple activities to engage the children who would visit their booth. Jamal felt a deep sense of purpose as they worked side by side, their laughter echoing through the small apartment. As they finished for the night and settled down to rest, Jamal realized that this was only the beginning. The changes were coming, and with them, the potential for something beautiful. He knew that with his mother by his side and Mr. Collins's support, they could create something truly special, a legacy of kindness that would touch their community for years to come. And as he drifted off to sleep, Jamal felt a sense of peace wash over him, knowing that they were about to embark on a journey that would not only change their lives, but also the lives of those around them. The ripple of kindness had begun, and he was ready to ride the wave. The day of the community fair arrived with a burst of energy that seemed to electrify the air. Jamal awoke early, the sun streaming through his window and filling the room with warmth. He could hear the distant sounds of vendors setting up their stalls and the excited chatter of families preparing for the day. Today was a significant moment for him and his mother, and he could hardly contain his excitement. "Good morning, Mama," Jamal called as he bounded into the kitchen, where Maria was already busy making breakfast. The smell of pancakes filled the air, mingling with the sweet scent of syrup. "Good morning, my sunshine. Are you ready for the big day?" she asked, flipping a pancake onto a plate with a smile. I am. I can't wait to set up our booth and meet all the families, Jamal replied, his heart racing with anticipation. This is our chance to show everyone what we're planning for the community program. Maria smiled, her eyes sparkling with pride. I'm proud of you, Jamal. This is a big step for both of us. Remember, no matter how many people show up, what matters is that we're putting ourselves out there. Jamal nodded, a sense of determination flooding through him. They quickly finished breakfast, and after cleaning up, they gathered their materials for the fair. With colorful posters outlining their vision for the community program and a few fun activities planned, they were ready to make their mark. As they walked to the fair, the neighborhood buzzed with excitement. Families filled the streets, laughter and chatter echoing in the air. Jamal felt a sense of pride in his heart as he observed the vibrant atmosphere. This was his community, and today he hoped to help bring it together. Upon arriving at the fair, they were greeted by a kaleidoscope of sights and sounds. Colorful booths lined the park, each one offering something unique. Food vendors dished out delicious treats. Children ran around with painted faces, and music filled the air, creating a festive ambiance. "Wow, look at all of this," Jamal exclaimed, his eyes wide with wonder. "It's amazing." "Let's find our spot and set up our booth," Maria said, leading the way through the crowd. They eventually located their designated area, a small space under a shaded tree. As they set up their table, Jamal's excitement bubbled over. "Okay, Mama. We need to make it inviting. Let's hang up the posters and set out the materials for the activities," he suggested, his hands moving with purpose. Maria nodded, her focus unwavering. They quickly displayed their colorful posters, each one illustrating their vision for the community program. Jamal felt a surge of pride as he stepped back to admire their work. It looked vibrant and welcoming, just like the spirit they hoped to foster. As the fair began, families started to visit their booth. Jamal greeted each person with a smile, sharing his vision for the community program and inviting them to participate in the activities. He felt a rush of joy as children gathered around, eager to join in the fun. "Can we paint too?" a little girl asked, holding a brush in her tiny hand. "Of course, we have plenty of colors," Jamal replied, his excitement infectious. He directed them to the small table set up with paint and brushes, and soon the air was filled with laughter and creativity as kids painted pictures of their own neighborhoods, dreams, and hopes. As the day progressed, Jamal and Maria engaged with families, sharing stories and listening to their ideas about the community program. The response was overwhelmingly positive, and Jamal felt a sense of belonging swell within him. Each smile and every word of encouragement fueled his determination to make this program a success. But as the afternoon sun began to dip lower in the sky, Jamal noticed a familiar figure approaching their booth. It was Officer Ramirez, his uniform crisp against the vibrant backdrop of the fair. Jamal's heart raced as he waved excitedly. "Officer Ramirez, come check out what we're doing!" "Hey, Jamal!" Officer Ramirez greeted with a broad smile. "I see you're making quite the impact here. I'm impressed. Thank you. We are trying to gather support for our community program," Jamal said, his voice bubbling with enthusiasm. "Look at all the kids painting. We want to create a space where everyone can feel safe and have fun." "That's an incredible initiative," Officer Ramirez replied, glancing around at the bustling scene, his expression turning serious. "But I need to talk to you about something important." Jamal's heart sank slightly, sensing the shift in tone. "What's wrong?" "Mr. Collins is still in the hospital," Officer Ramirez began, his voice steady. "He's recovering, but it's going to take some time. He wanted me to make sure you both knew he's thinking of you and is eager to meet when he's able." Jamal nodded, the weight of concern settling over him. "I hope he gets better soon. I really want to thank him for everything." Officer Ramirez placed a reassuring hand on Jamal's shoulder. "He appreciates your kindness more than you realize, and I believe he'll be back on his feet soon. Just keep doing what you're doing here." As Officer Ramirez walked away, Jamal felt a mix of hope and anxiety. He wanted Mr. Collins to see the program come to life and to witness the positive impact it was already having on the community. But he knew that patience was essential. The day continued, and as the sun began to set, Jamal and Maria reflected on their experiences at the fair. They had met so many incredible people and received endless support. But beneath the surface of joy, Jamal felt a lingering worry. "What if Mr. Collins doesn't want to help us anymore?" Jamal voiced his concern, his brow furrowing. "What if he forgets about us?" Maria took a deep breath, her eyes locking with his. "Jamal, Mr. Collins chose to help us because of your kindness. That won't change no matter what. We've already made an impact on this community, and it's only the beginning. We'll keep moving forward, and when he's ready, we'll be here to welcome him back." Jamal nodded, comforted by his mother's words. As they packed up their booth, he felt a sense of determination rise within him. They had already planted the seeds of kindness, and he was ready to nurture them into something beautiful. As they walked home, the night air cool and refreshing, Jamal glanced at the stars twinkling overhead. Each one felt like a reminder of the hope they had ignited in their community, and he knew that with every step they took, they were forging a path toward a brighter future. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, but Jamal felt ready to face them. No matter what lay ahead, he was committed to spreading kindness and creating a space where everyone could thrive. Together, he and his mother would continue this journey, embracing the truth that kindness once given could never be forgotten. The following week was a whirlwind of activity. Jamal and Maria poured their hearts into planning the community program, rallying support from neighbors and friends who had been inspired by their passion. They organized meetings, created flyers, and set up a social media page to spread the word. The excitement in the neighborhood was palpable, and Jamal felt a sense of purpose that he had never experienced before. One afternoon, as Jamal was helping his mother prepare dinner, the doorbell rang. His heart skipped a beat and he glanced at Maria, who looked equally surprised. "I'll get it," Jamal exclaimed, rushing to answer. As he swung open the door, his breath caught in his throat. Standing before him was Officer Ramirez, but beside him, wearing a hospital gown and a warm smile, was Mr. Collins. "Jamal," Mr. Collins greeted, his voice hoarse but filled with warmth. "I've heard so much about what you've been doing. I couldn't wait any longer to see you and your mother." "Mr. Collins," Jamal shouted, his heart soaring. "You're back. How are you feeling?" "I'm doing much better thanks to the care of the wonderful staff at the hospital," Mr. Collins replied, stepping inside with Officer Ramirez. "But more importantly, I want to hear all about the community program you've started." Maria entered the room, her eyes widening at the sight of Mr. Collins. "Oh, Mr. Collins, it's so good to see you," she said, her voice filled with relief. "We were just talking about you." "I'm glad to hear that," he said, taking a seat at their small kitchen table, his presence commanding yet comforting. "I want to know everything. I've been following your progress." Jamal couldn't contain his excitement. "We've been organizing activities for kids in the neighborhood. We even set up a booth at the community fair last weekend. Everyone loved it. They want to help." "That's incredible," Mr. Collins exclaimed, his eyes sparkling with pride. "You've already started creating a ripple of change, Jamal, and I'm here to help you take it to the next level." "What do you mean?" Jamal asked, his heart racing at the thought of Mr. Collins's support. "I want to provide you with the resources you need to make this program a success," Mr. Collins said, his tone serious. "I believe in what you're doing, and I want to ensure that you have everything you need to expand it." Jamal's mind raced with possibilities. "But how? We have so many ideas, but we've never done anything like this before." Mr. Collins smiled, his expression filled with understanding. "I have connections in the community, people who can help with funding, supplies, and even volunteers. We can turn your vision into a reality together." Maria exchanged a look with Jamal, both of them overwhelmed with gratitude and disbelief. "Thank you, Mr. Collins. This means the world to us," she said, her voice thick with emotion. "Let's set up a meeting with some local organizations next week," Mr. Collins continued. "We can brainstorm how to best serve the community and get the kids involved." As they discussed the details, Jamal felt a surge of energy coursing through him. This was happening. His dream was becoming a reality, and it was all due to the kindness that had sparked it. He couldn't wait to share the news with his friends and the neighborhood. The following days were a blur of planning and preparation. Mr. Collins became a regular presence in their lives, guiding them through the intricacies of starting a community program. He introduced them to local leaders, and together they crafted a proposal that highlighted their vision. The excitement in the air was electric, and Jamal felt invigorated by the support surrounding him. Then came the day of their first official meeting. Jamal could hardly contain his excitement as they arrived at the community center, the air thick with anticipation. Families gathered around tables, chatting and sharing ideas. Jamal took a deep breath, his heart racing as he prepared to speak. "Welcome, everyone," Mr. Collins began, standing at the front of the room. "I'm so grateful to see all of you here today. I want to introduce you to two incredible individuals who have inspired this initiative, Jamal and Maria Thompson." Jamal felt the warmth of the room as everyone turned to him. "Thank you for being here," he said, his voice steadying. "We believe that kindness can change our community, and we want to create a safe space for all kids to learn and play together. We need your help to make this happen." The room erupted in applause, and Jamal's heart swelled with pride. Families expressed their support, sharing their own stories and ideas for activities. As the evening unfolded, Jamal saw how the seeds of kindness he had planted were growing into something beautiful. But just as the meeting was winding down, a figure stepped into the room, casting a shadow over the joyful atmosphere. It was a group of teenagers from the neighborhood known for causing trouble. Jamal felt a knot form in his stomach as they approached. "What's going on here?" one of them sneered, crossing his arms. "You think you can just set up a program and act like you're better than us?" Jamal's heart raced. "This is for everyone," he replied, trying to keep his voice steady. "We want to create a place for all kids to have fun and learn." "Yeah? Well, good luck with that," the teenager scoffed, his friends snickering behind him. "No one wants your help." Tension filled the room, and Jamal could feel the weight of their skepticism pressing down on him. But before he could respond, Mr. Collins stepped forward, his presence commanding yet calm. "Listen, I understand where you're coming from," he said, addressing the teenagers. "But let me tell you something important. Change begins with us. If you want to be a part of this community, you're welcome to join us in making it better for everyone." The teenagers exchanged glances, uncertainty flickering in their eyes. "Why should we care?" one of them challenged. "Because you have the power to influence others," Mr. Collins replied, his voice steady. "You can show them that kindness and support are worth it. Imagine a place where you can lead activities, inspire younger kids, and make a difference in their lives." Jamal watched as the teenagers shifted, their bravado fading. "You really think we could do that?" one of them asked, his voice softer. "Absolutely," Mr. Collins said, his eyes shining with sincerity. "Every single person in this room has something valuable to contribute. The choice is yours. Be a part of the change or let it pass you by." The atmosphere shifted as the teenagers considered the words. Jamal felt a glimmer of hope as one of them stepped forward. "All right, maybe we'll give it a shot. Just don't expect us to be all nice and stuff," he said, a hint of a smile emerging. The room erupted in laughter, and Jamal felt a wave of relief wash over him. "Thank you for being willing to try," he said, the weight of tension lifting. As the meeting concluded, Jamal felt a surge of excitement. They had turned a potential confrontation into an opportunity for connection. The ripple of kindness was expanding, and he knew they were on the brink of something incredible. Over the following weeks, Jamal, Maria, and Mr. Collins worked tirelessly to implement their community program. The neighborhood began to flourish with new energy, kids of all ages coming together to learn, play, and support one another. The community garden blossomed, vibrant with colors and laughter. Every day, Jamal felt more fulfilled, knowing they were creating a legacy of kindness. And as he stood in the garden, the sun setting behind him, Jamal realized that the journey had only just begun. The kindness he had shared with Mr. Collins had transformed not only their lives, but also the lives of countless others in the neighborhood. He felt a sense of belonging that he had never experienced before. "Together, we can make a difference," he whispered to himself, a smile spreading across his face. The future was bright, and Jamal was ready to embrace every moment of it. The ripple of kindness had become a wave, and he was honored to ride it into a new dawn of hope and connection. In the heart of Atlanta, Jamal Thompson had learned that kindness was not just an act, it was a way of life, a bridge that connected people and transformed communities. And with every sandwich shared, every smile exchanged and every hand extended, he knew they were building a brighter future, together.